Hello, this is Shane Nelson in Paris, and I have some good news for you. You're not going to die. I'm just as tired as you are of all this fear mongering on the radio, on TV, on the internet. You're going to die seems to be the message, and not just you're going to die. You're going to die in a horrible way. You're going to drown in your own liquid in your lungs. You're going to have these terrible nightmares. The number of fearful articles they've published has driven me nuts. And frankly, I'd like to give you the good news that the situation is much better than you thought or than they've been telling you. Right? The situation is actually pretty good. Right? Now, before I get into that, I have to tell you about probabilities. Many years ago, over 20, I took my wife-to-be to the south of France. We drove down in an old car with a friend of mine. We'd just gotten acquainted. I didn't even have romantic intentions at the time. And she seemed to strike up a close friendship with the driver of the car. So the next day, he took us to the Chateau de Grignon in the Drôme. And there's a parapet, a wall. And I was walking around with my camera, and she was walking with my friend. And suddenly I hear her call to me, "Look at me, take my picture." And I turn around, and she's standing on a narrow ledge in high heels, and behind her there's a 300-foot drop, 100 meters. If a little wind came along and gave her a shove, she'd have been dead. And I just gotten to know her, was getting to like her, and I couldn't deal with it. I just turned my back on her immediately. I couldn't look at her in such a position of danger, and I just walked away. Well, that evening I was talking with a friend of mine down there, a pilot I know, a young man, kind of a nature boy. He preferred sleeping out in the woods to sleeping in his apartment. But I told him about how angry and how worried I'd gotten, and he set me straight right away. He said, "I don't know why you got so upset. All you have to do in a situation like that is calculate the probabilities. Maybe a gust of wind could have come along and knocked her off the wall, but what are the probabilities? It was a nice sunny day. Right? Probability near zero." And in fact, that reconciled me to her, and we ended up getting married about a year later. But the point here is, look at me. I'm 82, so I'm in the most dangerous bracket of potential victims of this epidemic we're under now. In fact, here in France, they even told me if I get CV, they're not even going to let me in the hospital. They need the hospital beds for younger people who are more worth saving. Right? How's that? And yet, I'm in the worst category. But even if I get CV, I have a very good chance of surviving. The probability that I'm going to die is still pretty low. There's about one chance I'm going to die and about 5 chances or 6 chances that I'm going to live. Now, those are great odds, right? So the probability of my dying, even someone my age, is quite low. It's like Russian roulette with only one bullet in the chamber. And if you're younger or if you're healthy, if you're in good shape, the probability of you dying from this virus is not 1 out of 7. It's 1 out of 100, maybe, or 1 out of 100, maybe even 1 out of 200, depending on how healthy you are. So Yes, there is a slim possibility, but so small, it's really not losing, worth losing sleep over, okay? No, Virginia, you're not going to die from CV, not if you're fairly healthy to begin with. And even if you get it, you're going to live through it. It's just going to feel like a bad flu. So stop worrying, everybody. They're not going to die. It's not that dangerous. It's dangerous to people who die, obviously, but not that dangerous to the mass of American or European or world citizens. Okay, that's the good news from Shane Lucky Nelson in Paris on the 9th of April, 2020.